3 men were assigned to keep the light on. They were trained, experienced, accountable. Their job was simple in principle and unforgiving in practice. Never leave the lighthouse unattended. And yet, in December of 1900, the light went dark. When relief finally arrived, the island was silent. The door was unlocked. The equipment was intact. The routine had been interrupted, and the men were gone. What remains isn't a story of ghosts or legends, but of procedure abandoned and a place that no longer made sense. The Flannan Isles are a small, uninhabited cluster of rocky islands off the northwest coast of Scotland. They are exposed, wind-scoured, unforgiving. For centuries, sailors avoided them. In 1899, the Northern Lighthouse Board completed a lighthouse on Eilean Mòr, the largest of the islands, to reduce shipwrecks in the surrounding waters. The lighthouse was modern for its time, reliable, designed to operate continuously. It required 3 men, not 2, not 1, 3. This wasn't redundancy, it was necessity. 1 man would always remain inside. 2 might work outside, but never without strict coordination. The light was never to be left unattended. That rule existed for a reason. The keepers assigned to Eilean Mòr were not inexperienced. James Duckett was the principal keeper. Thomas Marshall was the second assistant. Donald MacArthur was the third. All 3 were seasoned lighthouse men. They understood the isolation. They understood the weather. They understood the danger of deviation. Nothing about their record suggested instability, recklessness, or incompetence. This matters, because whatever happened did not involve novices panicking in unfamiliar conditions. It involved professionals. On December 15th, 1900, a passing ship noted something unusual. The Flannan Isles lighthouse was dark. This alone was concerning. But weather conditions delayed any immediate investigation. No one could land safely. Days passed, the light remained out. By December 26th, a relief vessel, the Hesperus, finally reached the island. Joseph Moore, a relief keeper, volunteered to go ashore. As he approached the lighthouse, he noticed something immediately. There was no response, no signal, no movement. The flagpole showed no flag. That too was wrong. The front door was closed but unlocked. Inside, everything appeared mostly normal. The kitchen was clean. The beds were made. A chair had been knocked over. The clock had stopped. Some of the keeper's outdoor gear was missing. Some was still inside. This was not consistent. If the men had left deliberately, they would have taken all protective clothing. If they had been surprised, there would have been signs of urgency. Instead, the scene suggested interruption, not panic, not planning. Interruption. The lighthouse logbook was intact. This was critical. Lighthouse logs were meticulous. Every weather change, every maintenance task, every anomaly. Entries from earlier in December describe severe storms, strong winds, high seas, nothing unheard of for the region. But the final entries became strange. One entry referenced a storm so severe that it exceeded recorded conditions from nearby stations. Another mentioned one keeper crying. A later entry suggested prayer. And then, nothing. The log stopped. No explanation. No resolution. Just absence. At first, the official explanation seemed straightforward. A storm swept men from the rocks. Tragic, but understandable. Except there was a problem. Weather records from the mainland did not match the severity described in the log. There had been storms, yes, but not of unprecedented intensity. Certainly not enough to justify all 3 men abandoning the lighthouse. Because that is the part that does not fit. Under no circumstances were all 3 keepers to leave the lighthouse. Ever. Even during storms. especially during storms. If 2 men were required outside, 1 remained inside. If conditions worsened, everyone returned. The light stayed on. That was the rule. And yet at some point all 3 men were outside, and none of them came back. Outside, investigators found signs of damage. A supply box had been smashed. Iron railings were bent. This suggested the sea had been violent, but not chaotic. The damage was localized, not widespread. And crucially, the lighthouse itself was intact. If the sea was dangerous enough to kill 3 experienced men, why had it spared the structure they were trained to protect? Why would all 3 men leave their post? Not 1, not 2, all 3. There is no protocol that explains this. There is no official instruction that permits it. Any explanation must account for a decision that violated everything they were trained to do. That's where the discomfort begins. Some suggest the men went outside to secure equipment during a storm. That might explain 2, not 3. Others suggest 1 man was swept away and the others went to help. That explains urgency, but not the lack of clear distress signals. No flares, no warning signs. And it still leaves the lighthouse unattended. A final theory suggests a rogue wave swept them all away. Possible, but improbable. Experienced keepers knew where it was safe to stand. And again, this requires all 3 to be in the wrong place at the same time. After the incident, replacement keepers reported an overwhelming sense of unease. Not fear. Unease. They described the island as oppressive, quiet in a way that felt unnatural. This wasn't presented as evidence of anything supernatural. It was simply noted. A reaction, one that could not be measured or logged, only felt. Despite searches, no bodies were ever recovered. The sea eventually returns most things. But not this time. The men simply ceased to exist within the record. They were not officially found. They were not buried. They were removed from the system without explanation. People disappear at sea. That is not unusual. What makes the Flannan Isles case endure is not the absence of bodies. It's the abandonment of order. A lighthouse is not just a building. It is a system, a routine, a chain of responsibility. And that chain was broken without a clear cause. The lighthouse still stands. Automated now. No keepers. No routines to interrupt. No human presence to fail. Perhaps that is fitting. Because whatever happened in 1900 left behind a lesson that no one wanted to repeat. Some places are safer when no one is there to make decisions. No theory fully explains why all 3 men left the lighthouse, why protocol was abandoned, why the damage was selective, why the logs describe conditions that don't align with records. Each explanation answers part of the story. None answer all of it. This is not a story about ghosts. It is not a story about monsters. It is a story about trained people behaving in a way they never should have, and leaving behind a place that no longer made sense. The light went dark, the rules were broken, and nothing ever put the story back together. And whatever happened there didn't leave an explanation behind.